Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to this afternoon's live web chat. My name's Dan Harding. I'm head of music here at the University of Kent. One of the few pleasures, if you like, to have come out of the past 18 months has been seeing the way that different people have actually used the opportunity to become creative and explore different creative avenues, rather than allowing restrictions and the situation under which we've all found ourselves over the past year and a half to impact on them and to stop them doing things. Actually, for some people, the opposite has been true, and they've been pursuing their creative endeavors in new ways. So I'm very pleased to welcome this afternoon former student here at the University of Kent, Steph Richardson. Steph was a music scholar. She sang in chamber choir and was a singer with the university big band, and also formed a vocal trio while she was here, the Canterberries. So creativity has been a thread running alongside her academic studies. So I thought it'd be useful, having noticed that Steph has been working on a creative project over the past year or so, and recently launched it earlier in the year, to invite Steph into the virtual studio here to talk a little bit about the ethical fashion company which she set up called Awkward Tiger. So with a enthusiastic round of applause, which we won't hear, but I'm sure we will all feel, please give a very warm virtual welcome to my guest this afternoon, Steph Richardson. Steph, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Pleasure, nice to see you. How have you been?
Yeah, not bad, thanks. I did almost do a little round of applause for myself as you said that, but then I thought that would probably be quite sad.
Not at all. If I'd been really organised, I could have had some applause on a soundtrack that I could have deftly played as you came in. But
that would have been so
good. But maybe next time. So thank you for joining us this afternoon. As I said, it's been... You've used the opportunity, rather than to sort of stop things happening, to actually explore a creative opportunity, haven't you? Tell us a little bit more about it and an Awkward Tiger.
Yeah, so I set up Awkward Tiger it launched in May this year, and it kind of happened really quickly. The idea has been with me for a couple of years, but with a full-time job and lots of kind of other commitments outside of that, including continuing singing and things from uni. I had a bit of time early this year because I was furloughed part-time. So I kind of thought, right, this is my time to just see if this will be viable and see if this will be a good project to do, and very quickly it just suddenly happened, and I was doing it, and I'd designed a logo, and I'd thought really in depth about the concept and what I wanted it to be, and there was a moment, or a couple of moments, when I thought, actually, I don't know if I can do this in the way that I want to. I mean, you said introduced it as an ethical company. I think we'll talk about that more later, but I get very cringy about the word ethical, and I'm quite conscious about all of that aspect, and making sure that that Awkward Tiger is always moving forward. You know, we're a starting point, and you have to start everywhere with limited resources, and but so there's so much room to improve, but our ambitions are ethical, and our practice so far is as ethical as we can be. But essentially, to summarize what Awkward Tiger is, it's we hand make fashion accessories from textiles. This is an example of a headband and earrings and things. And the premise behind Awkward Tiger is to be a little bit different, be a little bit quirky, kind of very pattern heavy, very color heavy. It's all about joy and bringing confidence to people in different ways from mainstream fashion. Yeah.
And is it fair to say that it was something that was born out of your being sort of in lockdown and furloughed, or is it something that you had already started to think about doing and it just gave you the opportunity when, last year?
Yeah, it's definitely been simmering away in my head. And then I think as soon as I was told I was going to be part-time furloughed, I was just like, well, I know exactly what I'm using this time for. Mm-hmm. So that way I could just jump straight into the research, and I did lots of market research and lots of development, and was inspired by lots of other independent makers who started, on their own in their bedroom. And yeah, so lockdown, or that kind of, I know many people in the country during the pandemic have had the absolute opposite, and they have been so busy and and everything. And then there's the polar opposite for the other half, who have had the gift of time, if you can call it the gift when it goes on for so long and it's employment related. But yeah, I just had these few months to kind of, and I knew that was a project that I wanted to look into. So it'd been simmering away.
And it must be quite different from your day job, if you like, as your project general manager at Farnham Maltings, which is an arts venue in Surrey. Is that right?
Yeah. So me and a small team, we manage a network of performing arts venues across the southeast, so just around 180 venues. So there's kind of lots of creativity in the projects that we work on, and get to work with amazing people. But my role specifically is quite administrative, kind of management-esque, which actually, when you're starting a business, is really, really good skills. Not just good skills to have, but actually skills to enjoy doing. I can safely say that, I love just sitting at a sewing machine and sewing, and I love drawing new designs, and I love thinking of new concepts and designing fabrics and things. But then the other side, I also really love budgets and Excel. And I'm not endorsing them, by the way. Is that an endorsement?
Other spreadsheets are available.
Other spreadsheets are available. Yeah, and that kind of aspect of planning and business planning, I'm really interested in as well. So yeah, so it's been a really, really exciting project to do.
And where did the title come from then? It's a wonderfully memorable title. What was the inspiration behind Awkward Tiger?
Oh, that's nice that it's memorable. That's good to hear. So I think I was amused. I was amused by the notion of a tiger in all of its glamour and stripes and style, being slightly not confident on the inside, slightly insecure, or not really knowing that it wanted to be a tiger. And I know that sounds incredibly odd, but I think that kind of notion resonates with a lot of people, and a lot of people I know, that kind of oxymoron of of an awkward tiger, but what you wear on the outside is how you want to be, how you want to come across, and it's not always reflective of how you feel on the inside. And I think it can be, it can work the other way. If you're wearing something joyous, if you know that where you bought something had really good values, if you've invested in a community, if you've invested in a person, if you just love it, if you know that no one else owns the same thing that you're wearing, I think that's a wonderful feeling, and it can give you a confidence, which can then spread throughout your life. And I think we can get a lot of confidence from fashion, and owning what we wear, choosing what we wear, being comfortable in what we wear, and not kind of just going along with mainstream changes and what's in, I won't name any shops, but what's in, like, particularly like fast fashion shops and things like that. I think more and more people are becoming aware of who they're buying from and why it's important to know that you're not just buying a product, you're investing in what that company stands for, what that person stands for. And that's kind of why, in particular, why I've chosen to support charities regularly through my work. So everything that's bought, 5% will go to a charity, and the charities change from time to time. But that was my way of going, look, I'm being honest and transparent through the production process of what I make. I can't always know when the fabric comes from, and anyone who's working with textiles or enjoys sewing and has kind of is aware of environmental considerations around it, it's so hard to find out who's making your fabric, and if they're paid well, and so that's something that over the years I want to really work on. But I've kind of done the basics of what I think people should be doing. So I'm supporting independent, local UK fabric sellers. I'm starting discussions with them around what their fabric like where they get their fabric from and everything. Doing as much research into the fabric as I can. Using as much dead stock fabric as I can. And things like packaging. I only use packaging that's needed. There's no like extra flashy business cards, marketing, all of that. It's only things that are needed, and they're either recycled or can be recycled. It's about having that holistic view about people and planet that I'm trying to put into my work. And it is hard, and everyone knows it's hard, which is why I have put, so on my website, on every product, you'll see a made from section. And so I try to be really clear about how this product has been is thoughtful. And by doing that, I'm also saying how it can be improved as well. And I've also put really, really simple definitions on the website of what I mean when I say words like Exatex and got certified, because I'm really conscious of greenwashing and not just using all these terms around with people assuming that I know what I mean by them. But sorry, I went on for a while then.
No. I mean, it's something that consumers are being encouraged to become more aware of their choices, aren't they? And the buying power that communities have in terms of where they spend their money and the choices that they make to spend, what companies they're going to support and what are the ethics behind that particular company. That particularly, over the past week or two, we've seen stories in the headlines that are about, people being outraged at what they're learning about some of the companies, particularly some of the companies that most people probably used over lockdown and so on. So there is a sense that actually we need to become more aware of the products that we purchase and the stories behind them and so on. So it's nice to hear that that's something that is a driving force behind your company.
Yeah, and I think what I'm trying to do is have that. I keep trying to use the phrase people and planet, because it's very easy to just go, okay, well, I'll use this. I'll buy this water bottle from this ethical company and refill it. And then it kind of a couple of weeks later or a year later, you see another really stylish water bottle that's reusable. And you're like, oh, I like this one. I'll buy that one. And you think that's great as a starting point. Like all of those things, awareness is amazing as a starting point. But you've already got a water bottle. Do you know what I mean? And so that like consumer in us starts to come out. and which is why I think the charities aspect of the ethical and environmentally sustainable element of Awkward Tiger is really important, because like I support mental health charities, I'll support environmental charities, but they all go towards that massive sustainability goal, which is which is essentially equality and inclusion, really. And by supporting people, you will support the resources on the planet, and better educate through that. But yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, sewing is something that even when you were at Kent here became manifest, didn't it? We've got the dress behind you, I noticed, that's the dress from Jazz at 5, is it not?
Well, I mean, coincidentally, it is. Funny that.
I'll share with everyone here. This is the photo of you performing at Jazz at 5 many years ago here. In fact, wearing the dress that you had made. That's right, isn't it?
That is right. Yes. Yeah.
What became known as the cupcake dress.
The cupcake dress, yeah, and my odd earrings as well. Yeah. No, I've always loved sewing, and I did start like at GCSE. I did GCSE textiles, which I loved. But what I found is that I stopped kind of my creativity with sewing for a little bit during uni. I mean, partly to concentrate on music, because I was so heavily involved in the music department at Kent Uni, and it was amazing, and I got to do so many extraordinary things that sewing took a bit of a back seat. But it was only till after that, and I realised that the reason I wasn't sewing is because at GCSE I was taught that there's a right and the wrong way of doing it. You follow the pattern to make this dress, you follow this pattern, and you'll get graded on it because it's for your GCSE. And what I discovered is that I needed to be a bit freer. I needed sewing to free my creativity, or just to be able to sit down and sew. And what I did is I just cut up fabric and sewed it together again, and I had this epiphany. I was like, oh my goodness, this is all sewing is. It's just cutting up fabric and sewing it together again. That's amazing. I could do loads of stuff with that. So what I find is that I do use sewing patterns, and I am inspired by designers and what other people have made. But what I love doing is making my own patterns and making my own designs, and working things out. And so everything through Awkward Tiger, like it hasn't just been the process of making it. No matter how simple the garment or the product, it's always had that time of me working it out, and not just copying something else. And I think, I don't have to do it that way, but I think it will make me a better designer and a better sewer in the future. And that's how I want to move forward with Awkward Tiger. I want to be inspired by other people, but I really want to need to finish the sentence.
Well, I mean, what it sounds to me like is it's actually you're building integrity into it from the very bottom up, aren't you? It's about your own understanding and your own development and your own aspirations, married to your own environmental concerns and those issues and so on, and actually building that in from the ground up as you put the company together, from right the way through, from sourcing the materials to designing it and so on, and aiming it at the particular client. Who is Awkward Tiger based, aimed at? Who are your sort of ideal customers, if you like, when you were doing your sort of thinking?
I think it's for anyone who is wanting to explore and be a little bit creative with their fashion, and obviously support an independent maker at the same time. Many people who have been supporting Awkward Tiger so far have been a little nervous to to take that step, to look a bit different, or to not blend in, or to wear something that potentially that they feel confident in, but that they might, that's just different to what they normally wear. And I think that's who I would love to be working with. That's who Awkward Tiger is for. It's those people who really want to be experimental with their fashion and just need a bit of extra confidence through it.
Because I mean, it's all about, you know, having followed the various products as you've been presenting them on Instagram and so on. There's a real kind of, it feels like there's a real enjoyment of the sort of the energy of color and the vibrancy of color. You know, they're very striking and not over exuberant. You know, they're not kind of showy, but there's a lovely sort of almost like a sort of sheer revelry in the colors that you choose and so on. That's obviously a part of it.
Definitely, and there's an elegance to them. Like there's not, it's not just like all weird and wacky, and which, you know, it would be fine if it was, but there is, you know, there is an elegance to them, and I think color is a massive part, because some people are really afraid of color and afraid of pattern, and you know, like pattern clashing or color clashing. And I think I'm just trying to advocate, just wear what you want to wear. Be who you want to be, wear what you want to wear, feel comfortable. Like I don't know about everyone else, but this is definitely a result of pandemic. But I will no longer wear anything that's not elasticated waist.
I think I can empathise with you in that regard, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I just think if I'm not actually, I mean, I might change again in a year or 2 years, but if I'm not feeling comfortable in what I'm wearing, how am I going to feel confident in what I'm doing? I'm just going to be self-conscious, and, you know. So yeah.
I mean, you know, for example, these two here, you know, there's a lovely, it's a sort of understated joy in that color, isn't it? Talk us through these.
Oh yeah, so all of their headbands, pretty much everything I make, if you're not going to find any polyester in them, they're all 100% cotton so far, and I only really like to work with cotton because I think it's you know, it's breathable, especially with the face masks. So much feedback about the face masks. You just said how soft they are and how breathable they are. All they are is 100% cotton, you know. But yeah, these guys, I just love them. They're so, I think mustard is I think it's a Marmite color for many people, but the designs themselves, the one on the left is, we call it the chunky headband, which is our signature headband, and I'm wearing it now as well. And then the one on the right is a slightly thinner headband that people might be more used to wearing. And the chunky headband is kind of based on a turban, you know, and actually in the future, I think we might branch out into doing turbans. I'm currently doing a design for turbans, and I'm kind of looking to work with a couple of charities around that design as well. That's an ambition of mine too, coming up soon. But yeah, and the point, I think the point of the headbands, well, many people just go, oh yeah, but surely it's just a headband. Like I use one to wash my face, you know, which is absolute, like, that's brilliant if you use them to wash your face. And I think that's what I would hope that people would do. People just use, like, I wear mine if my hair isn't having a great day. Generally, which is every other day.
At least you have that luxury of choice.
I didn't, you know, you can. I didn't say they were just for women. I didn't say they were just for men. Like you're free to, please, Dan, please buy one, and I'll gift it.
It wouldn't necessarily have the same holding back hair facility for me as it would for others. in these, as I begin to hit the middle of the road of my, sort of aging process, and hair decides it's going to recede. I think it's a polite term for it, but never mind.
Now's the time for a fashion reboot.
Maybe you could make one that's so large that it covers up my head and people can't actually tell that my hair is dwindling.
The turban, that's where that will come in. Great.
Oh dear, marvelous. So where can people find out more about this? Obviously you've got a website and so on, but is it Instagram that's your main sort of driving social media tool for this?
Yeah, I do a lot of stuff on Instagram. I find that just easier to connect with people, and because it's quite a visual brand, can get things across through Instagram a bit better than any other. But we're on Pinterest as well. This is kind of showing that it's incredibly early days still. But yeah, Pinterest is another one that is another platform that we're on. But yes, if you want to find more about Awkward Tiger, then the website is the best place to go. We've got like a sustainability page that goes into a bit more detail about our approaches to that, and the charities we support will be up there soon. All of our products, a bit more about me as well, and my and who I am, and my sewing machine features. So my sewing machine, who she can't, yeah, she can't be with us today because she's having her MOT at the moment. But she is gorgeous, and she was my grandma's sewing machine. Lovely. And she's she's not unique, but she's relatively rare because she's a dual sewing machine. So one side is a sewing machine and the other side is an overlocker. Sewing enthusiasts will get very excited about overlocker, about it being dual and an overlocker. So I hope we have sewing enthusiasts watching.
I'm sure we will. And have you been following? Is your machine in MOT because she went into meltdown after British Sewing Bee had inspired you?
Oh yeah, she gets very excited. Yeah. No, no. I just because she's quite old. You know what it's like. It will last forever, but I'm just really determined to take care of her. So she just has regular checkups when she can. But oh my goodness, Sewing Bee, yeah, so good. So it was. I think that was a great series.
And did you believe the right person won?
Oh, Serena was brilliant. Yeah, she was brilliant. I think she was the most consistent. Consistently high quality sewer throughout the series, but to be honest, all of them were really fantastic. All of them were so creative, and they
have a reuse and recycle element of it, don't they? Over the past few seasons, you take tents or plastic sheeting, and so there's a strong sense of recycling and reclaiming, isn't there, as part of Sewing Bee itself?
Yeah, and I think that's really important to advocate and bring awareness through the program, because it has so much reach and everything. I think, like with everything, if you think about it like beyond the program, then you start to like beyond the awareness raising in a way. That's a lot better if people just take their thoughts a little bit further, because I think in one episode, Esme said, "Oh, there are a lot of scraps around. Like, this is the reduce, reuse, recycle, and you've used all of this fabric, all of these clothes, and then you've not used a lot of them. You've left them as scraps." And that was an important thing to say, I think, because people, and with sewing, again, sewing enthusiasts will be aware of this, but it's a misconception that sewing itself as a hobby is necessarily a sustainable practice, because of sourcing fabric because of the materials that you use. Like, so many single-use plastics can be used in sewing, and so many just talking about people and planet and everything, but in terms of like slow fashion, that's really important in kind of taking ownership over where your clothes have come from. That's really good. One maker that I absolutely love, it's called Lydia Higginson. And she has a company called Made My Wardrobe, and she started it again on her own as a passion project, and she basically started making her own clothes. She said, I'm not going to buy clothes anymore. I'm just going to make my wardrobe completely. And so for a year, she took a year and made her own wardrobe. And I'm really inspired by her because her business has now grown. Like, it's incredible. And the sustainability values of the business are brilliant. And I think her journey around sustainability and not only saying making my own clothes, slow fashion, it's a bit more sustainable, but she also sources her fabrics in amazing ways and makes sure that they've been produced without like chemicals and pesticides and things like that. So she's been a massive influence as well, and she's a theatre maker as well.
Right. Oh, okay. Oh.
Yeah.
So obviously the burning question is, will we see you entering as a contestant on British Sewing Bee in the future then?
Well, I don't know. I just don't know. I'll have to apply, I think, for them to consider me.
Because you're as we come to the end of this show, your career's about to change, isn't it? Moving on from Farnham Maltings to something quite different.
Yeah. So I'm moving on to work at the National Theatre, which is really exciting. I think working at Farnham Maltings, I've been at Farnham Maltings for 4.5 years, and it has been incredible. Like, to get to know the landscape of touring theatre, small scale touring theatre, get to know regional venues that are often really, really tiny regional venues, but are doing so much amazing things in their community and making a difference through theatre and art in the community. And also Farnham Maltings, in terms of Awkward Tiger, has got a fantastic craft programme. Like, we host international craft festivals. We've just had Thread, the Festival of Textiles. We do Festival of Knitting, Unravel. So being able to meet independent makers through my work at Farnham Maltings, not through my job, has been really incredible and inspiring as well. And just see how different people have done it has helped me get the confidence to go, no, we could do this. That's me talking to my sewing machine. We can do this. Let's do this.
I mean, that's the other thing, isn't it? It's all about how much of it is inspiration, but then how much of it is the perspiration behind actually getting on and making it happen, and having the courage to make that leap and think, right, I'm going to commit to this and see it through and make it work, whilst you're also, juggling sort of career and pandemic and everything else on top of it. So it's quite something that you've actually turned what could potentially have been quite a limiting 18 months into something that's all about creating something new and driving something like that forward.
Yeah, and I think it will be tough doing it alongside a full-time job and a new job at the National, but I just feel really happy now it's off the ground, and I've started making connections with people who are resonating with the brand, that I really think now it's going to be a platform for me to be able to experiment with ideas and really grow it, because I to be honest, I don't know where Awkward Tiger is going to be in 5 years' time. I hope it still exists. But I've got an ambition to widen the range of work into like clothing, and potentially designing patterns for people to make their own clothes, and potentially designing fabrics. So I've got so many different ideas going around my head, and I can't wait for it to just continue. But there is an element, again, anyone who's listening who has a small business, this isn't news, but it's really hard juggling everything, and just being really kind to yourself, and going, okay, well, it's okay, because I have to have a full-time job, and maybe one day I'll be able to go part-time with Awkward Tiger. Maybe one day I'll be able to go full-time. That would be incredible. But there is a definite need with starting a business to be really aware of like well-being, and making sure not putting too much pressure on, because especially when you're using things like Instagram, and social media is so massive, it can get quite loud sometimes. And and while I really love Instagram, and I've got past the people find it hard to talk on video on Instagram for the first time, which I am completely with. So for my launch earlier in May, I was just like, well, if I was advising another company what to do, this is what I would advise them to do. And then of course I was like, oh damn, that means I have to do it now. but yeah, so it's helped me open up in that respect, and gain new skills, but also to be kind to myself, and think, actually, I don't need to be on Instagram all the time. And people are respectful of that.
Social media can be very sort of time consuming, can't it? People use it for fun and recreation and so on, but when you're using it as part of work or part of a business, it can be rather all consuming, can't it?
It can be. I mean, I think it is really important, especially when your brand is is so much based around values. So you have to really try and connect your audience with the values, and it's not about selling, and I've never been about selling. And unfortunately, that is unfortunate, because I'm now running a business, and I have I have no drive to make money. But I do have a drive to advocate for like joy and happiness, and best practice, and kind of sustainability, and good values, and supporting people and communities. So this is my way of saying that, and I've learned from the best throughout my career so far. From the Maltings, and I worked at Kent Music before that, and especially from uni, and working with you, and seeing the creativity, and in creating music, and that 100% played a massive part in me knowing, like, being able to explore different elements of my creativity, and having the confidence to apply it, and reach out to people, because that's what it's about, isn't it? It's about the people that you're talking to. It's not about you. Yeah. It's about connecting with people. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we'll have to hook up again in 5 years' time, when you've become a sort of global empire. And
I'll have no time.
You just talk to one of my assistants, Dan. Fantastic. Well, it's been lovely to catch up, and thanks ever so much for taking the time to share the story behind Awkward Tiger. It's been exciting to see it develop, and we look forward to following it over the next few years and seeing good things come of it.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. It's been really fun.
Good. Excellent. Well, thank you to Steph for taking the time to be my guest this afternoon. And thank you to everyone who's either been watching live or who's been watching on catch up. Thanks very much for being part of it this afternoon. And as we've heard from Steph about moving from life at Kent through life after Kent to setting up our own fashion brand. And we'll be with you again soon. Thanks for watching, and take care.